welcome to Spitting the Bit. I'm here with my friend, Trainer Jay Nehf, and Jay is going to talk to us about, the idea of, the horses that are going to be contending for the Derby, or as a 3-year-old, what does that look like, and how does the money invested into it compare or work out?
It doesn't work out.
That's exactly it. So,
yeah. Well, you could start with the fact that in 151 Kentucky Derbies, only 2 winners cost $1 million or more, and that was back in the 90s. Was AG Pegasus? Early 2000. Yeah, it was early 2000.
Yeah.
And that was the last horse that cost $1 million or more that won the Kentucky Derby.
Wow.
There were only 2. I think Seeking the Gold was the other one. But anyway, they continue to buy these horses for millions of dollars, and they continue to fail to win the race they're buying that horse to win. Why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
Why is that? Why aren't these $1 million horses winning? Academically speaking, we should make note that in the last 5 Kentucky Derbies, only 1 winner was purchased at auction. The other 4 were kept by the people who bred them.
Okay, that's pretty telling, I'd say.
I don't know what that means, but it is an interesting point. I think it shows that it's not easy to go to the auction, look at all those horses, and buy the Kentucky Derby winner. In fact, when you look at that statistic, 4 out of the last 5 did not go to public auction. The Derby winner was not for sale, was not in the catalog.
Yeah, so do you think they knew they had something special, so they didn't? They planned all along not
Well,
to
I think
put it in auction?
Sovereignty, who owned it? Was that Darley?
Yeah.
Owned them. They're not breeding to sell so much of it. In fact,
They're breeding to race.
yeah. I happen to notice that several of their stallions, they don't have many stallions, Essential Quality, Elite Power, they all are out of mares whose direct female line traces to La Troyenne, who is the best known, most important direct female line in thoroughbred breeding in the United States. That's no accident when they have 3 of their best horses that come from that female family.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're particularly, at this point, I don't think they're interested in breeding for the sales. They're breeding for success on the track, and they're getting it. And that is translating into success in the breeding shed, because you look at Essential Quality, who we were just talking about. His first crop are 3-year-olds, and he's had half a dozen on the Derby trail. That's unheard of.
Yeah, that's crazy. It'd be really fun to see what happens.
Yeah, the Puma is I think its best shot. But that said, back to the subject of getting the right horse. People are paying those $1 million plus price tags for horses that, this is in August and September of their yearling year. And these horses look very mature, they look very fit, they really are they look like $1 million, no doubt about it.
Sure.
But these are horses that are consistently winning at a mile and a mile and an eighth. They're winning the prep races, and they're not winning the Derby. They're not winning at a mile and a quarter. They're not winning in May. They're winning in January, February, March.
Even their 2-year-old campaign, they're winning. Yeah.
And the 100-point races that we get at the end of March and beginning of April, the last of the points races, they'll win those at 1.5 miles. But it's been, I think, the last horse to win a 100-point prep race and then win the Derby was Justified. That was like 8 years ago.
Wow. Crazy.
Sovereignty won, finished second in the Florida Derby last year.
Right.
He won the Derby. All the what people think is obvious, the horses that win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile always start out the favorite. There's been two.
Yeah.
Two. The last one to do it was Nyquist, and before that was Street Sense. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a different kind of horse. Now, if you took a bunch of milers, you took 20 milers, 20 horses that were expert at winning at the mile distance, and you put them in the Kentucky Derby starting gate, one of them's going to win. Now, are you going to say that it was a 1.25 mile horse?
Right.
No, he's a
Miler.
Right?
Yeah.
So, how do you determine what kind of horse it takes to win the Kentucky Derby? 1.25 miles in May. Well, Secretariat. Right?
I'll take them.
Okay. Now, this horse still holds the record for the 1.25 mile Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
1:59 and 2/5 seconds. Now, since then, there's only been one other horse that broke 2 minutes. All right, in all that time, only one other horse has broken 2 minutes. That was Monarco, so he went 1:59 and 4/5. So, how many horses? 2 minutes flat. That was the record until Secretariat broke it, and that was held by a remarkable horse. It was only 15.2 hands tall. Northern Dance.
Oh.
That was 1964.
Turned out to be a pretty good stallion as well.
That was 1964.
Wow.
So, I think any horse that wins the Derby in under 2:02, right? 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Under that, I think you could say that horse is a 1.25 mile horse in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it would be interesting to do the research. If you look at horses who won the Derby in under 2:02, look at their breeding, look at their race records and so on and so forth. That might tell you what kind of horse is a true Kentucky Derby horse.
Going into auction, these horses look so good. They're the ones that are matured early, and again, a lot of horses that.
But you would think if they mature early, that would translate to being ahead of the game in May, and it's not.
And yeah, they get into races earlier. They get more racing experience, but that hasn't been the case. Now you had also mentioned that the as they continue their 3-year-old campaign after the Derby to the other Triple Crown races and Breeders' Cup Classic. That's a whole different game as well.
It is, and you will see those races like the Pacific Classic, the Breeders' Cup Classic, some of the other
The Travers, yeah.
These 1.25 mile races, and you see how much faster those times are than the Kentucky Derby times, and those horses are considerably more mature. So when they get older, they get bigger, they get stronger, they get faster.
I also know you're big on when you're looking at horses having success as stallions. You kind of like the milers. You like the ones that have won the Met Mile, the ones that have won Gotham a mile,
Breeders' Cup Mile.
Breeders'
We've
Cup
got
Mile.
Mare's Book 2 for 2026. This year we've got Mare's Book 2. Life is Good, who won the Breeders' Cup Mile. You think he finished 4th when Flightline won the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Okay.
So the following year they ran, or well, actually the year before that, they ran Life is Good in the mile and won it. That's, if you look at the sires of the Derby winners, they're not round horses. They're not mile and a quarter horses. Look, Into Mischief, leading sire. He's got 3 Derby winners, one by DQ, but he never won past a mile and an eighth. He won one race at a mile and an eighth. I mean, you can just go on down the list.
Yeah, that's fascinating, and makes me wonder: do they get the stamina from the dam side? I don't know.
Who knows? But since 1973 or 1977, when Seattle Slew won the Derby, he sired Swale, who won the Derby. So since 1977, up to the present day, there has been only one Kentucky Derby winner that sired the Kentucky Derby winner. That was Unbridled, who sired Grindstone. And when was it? How long ago was that?
Yeah, forever ago. Wow.
The 90s?
Yeah.
So those horses that were, those stallions that were route horses are not siring Derby winners.
Interesting.
I will say this to your question. Are they getting that stamina from? Come here, Eddie. Come on. Are they getting that stamina from the dam? We know that mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from the dam, right? Which is directly associated with stamina. The research has been done. That's fact. That's not theory, right? And you can only get that mitochondrial DNA from the dam. So we were talking about going these lines tracing back to La Troyenne in 1926. She was full. So it's not easy to find an unbroken chain of females, of daughters, that go up to the present day. But they're out there. We just got one. We paid a lot of money for them, but we got it.
Yeah, you were hunting for that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah. And it just kills me that we paid that much for it.
Well, and then you turned around and you booked her to Constitution.
Constitution, yeah.
So you paid a lot of money, and then you paid a lot of money.
Even more, yeah.
But that should be a good combo.
Well, fingers crossed. But anyway, but back to the stamina thing. So yes, there's strong evidence that stamina is closely associated with the dam side of a horse's pedigree.
All right. Well, thank you, Jay. Money's not the determining factor on a Derby horse, is what I've learned. What I've learned. There's all kinds of
one other
factors.
factor I can point out regarding money is that the average price of a Kentucky Derby winner in the last like 10, 12 years.
When they were up for auction, when they were buying them?
Was $350,000.
$350,000. All right. Still above my price range, but
way down.
Way down from $1 million plus. So yeah, very interesting. A lot of factors to consider when you're looking at the horse that you want for the Derby. So thank you, my friend.
Okay.